Jim McAllister. I've been supporting Dumbarton all my life, which is now 67 years. My current role, I'm the club historian. I've been the club historian for 40 years now. I have been PA announcer for 23 years, and now on match days I work in the boardroom.
My name is Cranmer Watson, and I've been supporting Dumbarton for 30, I'm 36, so probably about 34 years.
Paul MacDonald. I've been supporting at Dumbarton since about 1979. Dad first took me along. It took me a wee while to get going with the sons, you know. I was quite young. Eventually around about 1982-83, they'd started winning a few games and that, and I got hooked, and I've never looked back. So I went with my dad for years and years and years, you know.
My grandfather was a Dumbarton supporter, my father and uncle were Dumbarton supporters, and now my son and grandson are Dumbarton supporters, so I'm steeped in the history of the club. I'm led to believe my grandfather started supporting the club in 1921, which is obviously a long time ago. My father took me to Boghead when I was only a toddler, which I don't remember. The first game I remember was in March 1964, when I lived in Overwood Drive at the time, and I had run out of Boghead to go down Overwood Grove and into Overwood Drive to tell my grandfather, who was at Infirm at the time, that we had won 8-0 against Cowdenbeath. And he clicked me around the ear and told me not to tell lies until such times as my dad came in and confirmed it. Well, Dumbarton don't beat many teams by 8 goals, and in actual fact that's the last time it happened, so that's my first memory of watching Dumbarton.
So my dad initially supported the Vale Juniors. He's from the Vale, Tullyhune, and he supported them to about when he was a wee laddie, to about 1956. He was born in 43, so he went with them as a kid. And then when he was old enough to get into Dumbarton, he started going to Dumbarton, so he'd supported them his whole life, and he went with his friends, and then the friends went with their sons, so there was a big squad. They used to all go together. We used to go to away games with my dad as well, so just following them all over the place really, you know.
So my family, they've always been involved with Dumbarton. My grandpa was club secretary in the 70s and 80s. My uncle, Colin, he has been director, vice chairman as well. And so when I was younger, I always used to just listen to the radio with my gran and hear the Dumbarton results. And then went to Boghead. And then when I came here, I was ball boy, fan, cleaner upper, you name it, all the wee jobs.
Back in the 50s and early 60s, the family business was a bakery, and they provided the pies for the football club for match days. So my father would take me along to games, you know, having finished work at lunchtime, he would take me along to games. Then we moved to Dumbarton in 1965, and he was working some Saturdays, so that became less of a chance to come and see games. I actually probably saw more away games in those few years until I was old enough to go on my own.
So my son first started going around about 8-year-old, just after my dad passed away, and it was quite strange because it was a COVID year. My dad passed during COVID, and the moment we get back into the grounds, my son was able to come. So it was strange because my dad, me and my son never got to go to the games together. And as soon as my dad passed away, and when we were back at the games, my son goes, and he's hooked now. He's had a season ticket for 3 years now. He loves going to away games as well. So, you know, he really loves going, you know. So.
For me, best day out, I think, was at Annan 2009, I think it was, when we got promotion. That's probably the kind of first promotion I properly remember, and yeah, it was fantastic. Just going onto the pitch, celebrating with the players, coming back up here. And Iron Brew gave us the Iron Brew bus, so that I managed to sneak onto the bus with the players, and I got to be on the bus when it got piped in, and I think there was about 2,000 fans here on the car park, so that was amazing.
The promotion winning season of 71-72. Because I was a young boy, I was 14 years old at the time, but it was important to me because my father was nearly 40 and he'd never seen Dumbarton win promotion. So to be there that night when we won promotion, there's actually a photograph in existence of my aunt and uncle, my father and I, all standing together, and 3rd of May 72, with Dumbarton winning promotion for the first time in 50 years.
So getting promoted to the Premier League when we drew the Clyde 2 each was a right high point. During that season, there was one particular game against Cranmer at home, and we were on an unbeaten run at the time. You know, we'd been unbeaten, I don't know, maybe a dozen games or something. And we beat Cranmer. I think the final score ended up maybe 4-3, but at one point we scored about 3 goals in a 10-minute spell in the first half. We were 4-1 up, and see to be 4-1 up against a team like Cranmer. I mean, Cranmer weren't as good back in that day, but it was just a fantastic game. And then obviously more latterly, getting promoted, well, winning the league in 91-92, I think it was. And then under Murdo MacLeod's tenure, when we got promoted back into what was the old First Division, 94, 95. Then when Jim Chapman came in, we got promoted for the 3rd back into the 2nd. That was a really good season. We scored millions of goals that year. And then more latterly when we had the championship years. And then bring back up to date, away to Spartans when we got through the playoffs. There was a game that season when it was a turning point about 8 weeks before. We went away to Spartans and we looked as if we were going to fade. And we beat them 6-2. And my niece's boyfriend had no long signed for Dumbarton and scored his first senior goal that game. So that was really good.
Well, my first memory was taking him when my wife was going out somewhere and I was forced to take him, but I think that's not unique. And very soon he got involved in it. He became a mascot one day, and having done that, one of the ball boys didn't turn up, so he was asked to go and be a ball boy. So he went and did the ball boy, and he did it for a number of years. And from then on, he was hooked. Well, I think, again, you take it, it's going to be promotion seasons, isn't it? I mean, I've seen 7 promotions now. First one was the 71-2, which was important for my father. 2001-2 was the first one my son was with me, so that was important. And then 23-24, when Spartans, to have the 3 generations of us at Spartans that night, those are the ones that make it special.
When my dad took me to Ibrox, was sticks out. I mean, we got beat that day, but see, going to a big, massive stadium to watch Dumbarton, it was absolutely fantastic. And I was only a wee guy, I was about 9, and I remember thinking, Jesus, this is mad, all these people here. We got beat, but going away, I went with my dad. He'd started becoming poorly, he'd Parkinson's, and I took him to the Iron Brew Cup final. Again, we get beat that day, but just spending time with my dad. My mates were all there that day, all getting the train, all getting a swally. I drove my dad there because I needed to, so that was a good moment to spend with my dad. With my son, it probably is that game at Spartans when James Graham scored in a 6-2 win, and he scored. So we were right behind the goal at the ground level. Spartans away is a small wee ground, you're not getting much terrace or anything. Right behind the goal and he ran right over it is, and it was his first senior goal. And a local photographer sent me the picture, and I framed it and gave it to him.
My wife and I moved to Dumbarton in 2017 to be nearer to my son and his family and carry out the grandparenting duties. And it's roughly the same time, and as well as getting a concessionary season ticket for Dumbarton Football Club, we could also get free tickets for the grandchildren, which was great because it gave me quality time with my grandchildren and my son at times when he used to come before he became a season ticket holder. So I got quite ingrained from about 2017 onwards. Unfortunately, my wife passed away in 2023, not long after my daughter had passed away from the same illness. And Dumbarton became an even bigger part of my life and very, very important. I liked what it stood for. I liked the ethos. I just liked the place and the feeling I got there. The competitive edge was good, the friendly edge was good, everything about it was good. So it was very much an anchor for me at the time and helped me get through some particularly difficult times. Now, it's very much a big part of my life, and same with my son and my grandsons, and we go regularly to home games and quite a few away games. And I'm not a son, as it were. I'm very much an adopted son, and Dumbarton, the castle and the club are very close to my heart. So, go the Suns.
Well, I've spent so much of my time around the club that it's critical. I mean, obviously we've come through a very difficult period last season that you wouldn't wish on any other club. We seem to have come through it now. The important thing as far as I was concerned is that we've got a team in the park at the minute. We can build from there, but there was a period obviously towards the end of last season when you go to Stennismuir in the last game of last season, it's by no means certain that we would come back out from there.
It's massive. Having a club here is so important. It's so important for everybody that comes, but it's so important now as we move forward for the community of Dumbarton Football Club, and of Dumbarton. We should be and we will be in the years to come at the heart of the community, where people can come on a Saturday and watch the men's team. On a Sunday they can watch the women's team. Throughout the week they can watch the youngsters as well. And then, inside people can use the facilities for birthdays, lots of different events that way. So yeah, we're going to be even more back at the heart of the community.
Bill Shankly once said football's a matter of life and death. It isn't. There are things that are more important than football, but football is important. And I can remember going back just 10, 15 years ago, Dumbarton went into the last game of the season and we had to win to stay up, providing Stennismuir and our game went their way, and it didn't go for us. But in the week leading up to it, my wife had said to me, she said, who's not a football fan, she said, I hope you're not going to be miserable if you get relegated at the weekend. And I said, it's not the end of the world. Of course, the inevitable happened and we were relegated. And then on the Sunday, you begin to reflect and think, I'm going to Elgin, I'm going to Stranraer, I'm going to Berwick next season, I'm going to Peterhead. And she said, you said that it didn't matter. I said, no, I said, it's not the end of the world. It does matter.
Oh, man. So Dumbarton is everything, it's my wife always kids on, I care more about Dumbarton than my family, but it's all it's part of my family. But absolutely, I was gutted when I heard about it in administration because I had no inkling at all. And then when you seen the bigger picture, it started to coming back and it's totally re-energised me. The new guy coming in and, I've been doing here volunteering, doing lots of stuff for the club, trying to change out all these lights, just doing loads. And I've always done lots for the club. I've volunteered in various roles over the years. But without Dumbarton, I don't know what I would do. And one funny story was, so there was a fundraising night and I was a high bidder, getting a meal for Tam Cowan and Murdo MacLeod out in Ayers and Balloch. I've not been for the meal yet. And my wife found out what I bid for it and was raging. I'll not tell you how much, but it was a lot of money.
Well, it's been important. I mean, it goes back 100 years. I mean, my father would tell me tales of going to games, and then I've got my own tales, and then my son and grandson have developed their own important memories. I mean, my father told the story of 1951 when Dumbarton won the Quaich, which was the first trophy they'd won in many, many years. And he was doing his national service at the time, and he was stationed down in Somerset. Well, he was home and leave the weekend that Dumbarton played the final of the Quaich, which was a Monday night game at Firhill. And he tells the story that he told his mother that his train was at lunchtime when it was actually at 10 o'clock at night. He said, because that way he could get to the Quaich final. He said, but he got there and he forgot to factor in the fact that the Quaich could have gone to extra time. And it did. So he ended up having to run from Firhill to Central Station to get the train down to Somerset. So everybody who supports a club like this can tell all those types of stories.
But yeah, moving forward, having kids, that's, for me, it was, sitting with my gran and listening to football and then kind of coming along that way with friends. That should be the same for all the kind of kids in the local area that way. It shouldn't be the kind of odd time where people are seen with Dumbarton tops and, they're then more into, the Glasgow teams or Premiership teams that way. The norm should be a town full of Dumbarton strips and people kind of proud to support their team that way. So it's massive, and all I would say just to any youngster is, come along, have fun. I know it sounds, like we're kind of being old and grumpy when we're saying, don't use flares or this, that, the next thing, but it just causes so much trouble behind the scenes, and with police and all that as well. So it's not worth the hassle for you as well. But come along, support the team, have fun. I was always told that supporting Dumbarton's a roller coaster ride, so there will be lots of up and downs. We're not like some of the bigger teams where it's a kind of almost felt like a kind of right to win every game. But when you lose games and then you win games, I think the winning feels a lot much better that way.